In the last couple of years, a few things about the Hollywood bubble have become increasingly obvious, to the point where it is now laughable that no one else in that sphere seems to notice it. It might have been a crazy claim a few years ago, and it still might be right now, but I don't think so for a few reasons. And that point is that people have become almost entirely disillusioned with Hollywood celebrities. Now that has to do in large part with the quality of movies that we have been getting lately, the fact that oppressive and unasked for ideology has infested a lot of entertainment, and that the quality of movie making, whether that's CGI or sound design, or even just writing or acting, has gone downhill outrageously. All of that is true, but I would also argue that a large part of the reason that movies are doing so terribly is because celebrities just can't help themselves. There has been an epidemic of Hollywood actors and actresses who have opened their mouths and said things that were either incredibly delusional, incredibly inflammatory, or incredibly condescending to their paying customers. They have insulted portions of their audience, they have used phrases such as "don't like, don't watch," to which we all said, "Sure, we have better things to just spend our money on." They have gone on rants online about things that have nothing to do with their upcoming films, and on and on and on. And I finally decided, after seeing interviews and hearing podcasts and seeing and hearing about tweets and Instagram posts, that celebrities need to do themselves a favor and just stop talking about anything that doesn't have to do with their newest project. Full stop. We need to go back to an age where celebrities revealed nothing about their personal lives, did the bare minimum at red carpet interviews, didn't talk about their politics, and didn't try to be activists. We need to bring back publicists and pre-approved interview questions that the celebrity is allowed to talk about and nothing else. Of course, that means we'll need to cancel late-night talk shows, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Except for you, Graham Norton. You can stay. It almost doesn't feel as if Tinseltown is a real place anymore. And all of this leads to the first of a few points. Celebrities need to stop talking because it alienates them from their fans. I know that sounds like the most obvious truth in the world. I honestly just didn't realize how widespread the issue was until recently. Celebrities are not genuine, but they don't seem to realize that the audience knows that. At least not lately. Now, spouting off about their supposed morals for the sake of public credit is not a new thing. Towing the company line when it comes to promoting a movie has always been around. But social media has created a window into a celebrity's life that the audience has woken up to, and we don't like what we're seeing. From celebrities lecturing the audience about their political beliefs or virtue signaling their way in an actor lineup, we have been treated to a barrage of out-of-touch actors and actresses trying to convince us just how good they are. Nothing screams genuine like incredibly wealthy, entitled celebrities flaunting their egos at a fed-up audience. This specific livestream was a tool that the elites used to try to remind audiences that they are subject to the same laws and going through the same things as the rest of the general public. And then many of them were caught on camera throwing lavish parties in their mansions and breaking every one of the rules that they had lectured us about. Freedom for me, but not for thee. I should also mention the 2024 Met Gala, which featured celebrities in a quasi-Hunger Games reality, while the rest of us watched and heard celebrities say things like,
"Let them eat cake."
Who took the bomb?
All this did, of course, was display a level of vapidness, vanity, and utter disconnect from the audience that enraged a lot of people online, leading to a celebrity blockout. I think this was the moment that a lot of people began to actively do something about their dislike of celebrities and their utter arrogance, and whether or not this will be successful in the long run is yet to be seen. I'm not entirely convinced, but maybe it's time to be optimistic for once. If we needed further proof about the distance between celebrities and fans, all we need to do is look at the recent presidential election. Whether you're happy or sad about the results doesn't really make much difference to me, but I do find it interesting that a lot of what we call traditional celebrities endorsed one candidate, and judging based on the result of the election and just how much was won and lost, celebrity endorsements didn't really matter at all. One candidate had everyone from Beyonce to Queen Latifah to Oprah to Slim Shady, and on and on. And all of them gave speeches lecturing the listeners about how voting was so important and who and what they should be voting for. Ironically, despite all the effort that went into promoting one candidate, none of their words made the slightest bit of difference, which led to a landslide victory for the other candidate. If this wasn't a resounding thesis of just what the average person thinks about the opinion of celebrities, then I don't know what is. The bubble has burst now, and people have decided that the opinions of people who make more than the gross domestic product of Ethiopia, but have the self-awareness of a moth near a porch light, really shouldn't be lecturing people on their opinions when it comes to political matters. And so apart from ignoring them entirely and them demonstrating their own insignificance in the real world, I just think this is completely hilarious, and I'd like to see more of it. Until celebrities can keep their mouths shut about things that they are not qualified to talk about, I am all for people continuing to tune them out.
So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg.
You know, Ricky, I couldn't agree more. Do I think the average A-list celebrity will listen to Ricky? Probably not, because this speech was given in 2020, and 4 years later, people like Rachel Zegler are still running their mouths no matter what it does to the projects they're working on. It hasn't been just the last 4 years, though. There have been numerous examples in the past 10 years of actors and actresses running their mouths in such a way that directly impacts the box office figures of their movies. You might remember fondly this speech from Brie Larson that had to do with A Wrinkle in Time.
Am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not. I'm just saying I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him.
The movie itself grossed almost $133 million worldwide, which doesn't sound all that bad. But then factor into it the fact that the movie's budget was between 100 and 130 million, and the profit margins don't seem all that great anymore. Of course, you could argue that the subject matter of the film wasn't really to everyone's preference, and that was the reason for the disappointing numbers rather than anything any of the actresses said. But as Brie Larson noted, it wasn't intended for 40-year-old white dudes, and they listened to her and just didn't show up. And then of course there were the infamous comments of Chris Evans in his animated film Lightyear, which certainly didn't help the movie, along with some of the subject matter in the film not being something parents wish to take their children to see. Lightyear was considered a box office bomb in 2022, and it lost the studio an estimated amount of $106 million. The pundits will note that the movie had to compete with films like Jurassic World and Top Gun Maverick, but the comments of the leading man certainly didn't help when he insulted a large portion of the film's potential customers. It also didn't help that the original voice of Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen, was nowhere to be found. We can move on to the abomination of a Star Wars show that was The Acolyte. I've talked at length about this show and what a disaster it was from beginning to end, but a large part of that disaster wasn't helped by the, shall we say, artistic visions of Amandla Stenberg, who took to social media to attack the people criticizing her show with this scathing comeback.
They spill, 'cause they conflate our pain with violence and try to weaponize everything that we do. The desperation of oppressors is rising, and now they holding on to any old thing they can use. If you rely upon misinformation, and that tells me you're afraid of the truth.
Can I just ask how and why she thought this was a good idea? Not only is this one of the most uncomfortable things that I have ever had to sit through, but it just demonstrates how utterly shallow the actress is. Now, was The Acolyte going to be a success even without this bizarre form of artistic expression? Probably not. But Amandla's social media presence certainly didn't endear her to the audience at all, and where she might have been able to walk away from a bad project with her reputation intact and have the opportunity to star in further leading roles, instead, she's just torpedoed her own prospects going forward. But time will tell, I suppose. And of course, we have Rachel Zegler, who, instead of demonstrating love and excitement for the project she has been picked out of all others to be in, has gone out of her way to disparage the original Snow White project and praise the newest version, which is looking to be a soulless, joyless form of corporate activism. Her interviews on Snow White have gone viral for a reason, and they aren't likely to be forgotten about anytime soon. Certainly other things that we are not going to be forgetting anytime soon is the absolute delusion that is revealed anytime any of these A or B-list celebrities open their mouths. And that goes for directors and actors alike. Actors from Rings of Power put so much effort into making their show seem so much more groundbreaking than it was. Particularly Sophia Nomvit here, who couldn't seem to get over the fact that she was playing the first black female dwarf ever, and how utterly monumental it was. What an example of progress and diversity. The same thing is true with Jodie Turner-Smith, whose only contributions to the entirety of the Acolyte show included her calling Star Wars patriarchal.
So my character, you know, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal. So it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
And of course, we can't forget Rachel Zegler's comments during the actors' strike from last year.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
I could go back even further to the words of Elizabeth Banks from her Charlie's Angels movie and how she feels men owe her.
My real plea is for men to have enough empathy to go see movies starring women. Because I've been asked to go see movies starring men my entire life, and happily have done so.
And then, of course, you have the inherent strangeness that has followed the cast of Wicked around in their interviews. It really is interesting to hear people who make more than I ever will in my life gushing about how important and necessary and life-saving their film is. Is this done out of a sense of guilt for the fact that they have made it and other people have not? Is it done to preach their own self-importance utterly? Is it a desire to stay relevant as much as possible in a world that is constantly changing and there are tons of things vying for people's attention? I think it's all three, to be honest. And the longer it goes on, the more delusion and strangeness we're exposed to. Makes me think to myself that if celebrities just don't stop talking, maybe we should do them and ourselves a favor and just stop listening. It might take some time, but obscurity to a Hollywood celebrity is like water to the Wicked Witch of the West. Use it on them and it will reveal their true character, which turns out to be absolutely nothing at all. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Be sure to leave me your thoughts down in the comments section and let the conversations begin. Until next time, everyone.